The following is a transcript between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, originally produced on October 9th, 2020, under the constellation of Libra, in the mental week, examining through the root chakra. Me. When the concept of good and evil came to mind, I remember the game of chess. I remember that I had a friend in childhood that when we played together, he always wanted to be the white ones because they were considered to be good. Today, white adjectives are still used for good concepts and black adjectives for bad ones. Charge in black, black market. I see everything very black. And when we refer to the good ones, we always say charge in white. It's an easy target, whitewash the solution. And many times I have heard people who, with the intention of not being racist, make the huge mistake of calling black people non-white people, so as not to offend them, believing that not saying black will make them whiter, which is even more racist. Sometimes, remembering those chess games, I look at life and it's like everything is a chess game, all trying to fight with the opposite in the battle between good and bad, between black and white, between women and men, scientific and spiritual, ignorant and knowledgeable, right and left, rich and poor, and each one is a piece. Some looking for destroying the opponent and others trying to dodge it. Each one has his little square box, trying to always be the same color so as not to change perspective. And at the slightest change, you will find yourself at risk. It is as if going through life is trying to survive morality. In addition, we're in an area of political correctness in which, instead of calling for more unity and respect, the only thing that has been achieved is to further separate us into groups of elite communities. Humans, like plants and animals, have always seen life as a struggle, the battle for substance and expansion. He is bound in defending his own way to protect himself and ensure his life. Seen from this perspective, everyone will be enemies until proven otherwise. Advancing through known territory, through those places where people think the same, make us feel safe and stable, and each moment must be carefully thought through beforehand, because in every corner change can turn into death at the hands of the enemy. Thus, the search for well-being designs all kinds of antinomies, antipodies, antagonists, enemies, all in order to be prepared for any situation. The chief of the tribe carries the stick with which he marks the ground, with which he touches the ground to see its stability, with which he strikes the first blow at the first danger that arises. Thus, a good measure for securities against evil. Me. And with what yardstick do I measure? I've heard that expression. I am the chief's staff, the baton of command. It is the one that determines the danger, but before it appears, because you cannot solve the evil when it happens. You must anticipate it, generate the possibility before, and be ready for when it comes. This generates a scale of value about what you can be good and what can be bad, and it is the yardstick that measures it. The phrase became popular during the Spanish Empire since the var was the unit of measurement in the ships, trade, and construction. But human culture designed another stick, that of morality. Me. Morality is the great guide and the great prison at the same time. I am. Moral is of Latin origin from the word that means moris, which means to live in the same place, which gives rise to the words inhabitant and dwelling, and is used in the sense of everything that is a custom, which is fixed, repetitive, stays in one place, sedentary. Morality is a way of defining the scale of values that do not change and that are sustained over time in relation to a specific culture or place. Me. In other words, the stick would change depending on where it's been placed. I am. Exactly. Morale is not an objective indicator, but rather a fully subjective indicator of a group in a specific time and space, me. So how do you know what is good and what is really evil? I am good and good are both words originating from the Latin bonus, which in turn comes from duonus, a name by which one who seeks an enemy is known. Me. Wait, how? The word good that we use for good people, to do good, comes from the concept of going through life looking for an enemy? I am. How else would you know you're a good guy? Me. Makes sense? I am. There is no good without evil. It has no sense. And for this reason, the good incessantly seeks an enemy to blame for its circumstances. And the evil? I am. Evil in most cultures that use the word refer to sin, error, or conflict, all related to Christian roots. In both Greek and Latin languages, the word mal, male, milo, milla, mel, mala, they are all related to apple, the forbidden fruit. The fruit of the original sin, of evil on earth, of everything evil. The lies, the deceptions, the blasphemous, the useless, the sin. All of this is related to the story of the apple and the tree of knowledge from which the serpent, the devil, delivered the fruit to the woman, Eve, the bad, the evil. Thus, good arose to fight against evil, which did not exist before. Our concept of evil is related to an educational concept, eating knowledge, doubting, breaking the rule, going beyond the norms, destroying morality, that is. Me. So the concept of good and evil that we have are totally wrong. They don't exist as such. I am. At least there aren't those that your culture considers good and bad. For the Saxon language, good comes from the Indo-European gahed, which means to unite or to fit. That is to say that what is good is that which is harmonious, that connects things, that makes them form. Instead, the word bad comes from the word beled, which means hermaphrodite. Any concept that has to do with the unnatural, with what is considered outside of what is established by God, it's deprived, is the concept that gives rise to this word. Me. In other words, evil for the Saxons and the Anglo-Saxons is that which is not defined by man or woman. It's homosexual, which breaks the natural law, thus giving the word the subsequent meaning of everything that goes against the real law of things, a word that clearly today would look horrible in use. I am, because the moral has changed. But what meant bad in the Middle Ages is no longer so in the contemporary age, just as it happens the other way around. The concept of fitting into something taken as something good implies that for something to be in the law of good, it cannot be different from the rest. It must be the same, and if it's divergent, it is bad. To your question about what is bad and what is good, the answer is, it depends on where, when, and who. Me. Well, that's a bit chaotic. Because the murderer or the tyrant could say that what they do is right, and then whoever tries to help the other is wrong. I am. It couldn't. It can, and in fact it does, because the parameters of morality between good and bad change according to the observer. Abortion, yes or no? Me, depends. I am. Well, that's it. That is the easy answer. Depends. The universe has no morals because the universe is not attached to any time or space. What you decide to do with existence will never be judged by the universe. There is no final judgment. There is no one on the other side after death who says you did good or you did bad. The only stick is the vibration and the energy weight that one generates in life in each act. The only yardstick that measures good and evil is the consciousness of an individual in a specific time and context. Morality is an illusion. Why judge a murderer and not an abortion? Why ban an abortion but allow war? Me, perhaps the question takes days because the duality of good and evil is something eternal. I am, and it can take days to discuss something that has no truth. Me, in what sense? I am. The great discussion about human morality only creates greater conflicts because what it defended today may be irrelevant in the future. What today is seen as normal, perhaps in the future will be an atrocity. Just as what is a struggle today, tomorrow will be an absurd to fight for the obvious. So, I wouldn't waste my time trying to identify what is right and what is wrong. Me. Then what would you do? I am. Understand good and evil as social tools of harmony between the parties, not as parameters for measuring the being. The mistake is to defend postures when the reality you have to solve problems, not philosophies. When you try to solve a problem from philosophy, you only get bogged down in the mind, and it is not practical. Social policy and political correctness must be practical, not moral. Problems are renewed, and morality is always the same. It is its nature. I am not saying then that there should be no morality, but that you must recognize that it is not a parameter of universal values. There is no law for morality. The only tool capable of regulating evil and good is called education. Me, but education is controlled by a curriculum, a system. I am. No, that's not called education. It's called teaching. Teaching is pointing out something, showing it as it is. Educating is asking and encouraging to find possible answers from doubt and imagination. The teaching transmits a morality and a pre-established laws. Education is immoral, and since it is transformative and it encourages breaking the rules of the law, looking for new forms of application to the usual problems. According to morality, we would all go by a carriage, since it is not necessary to use any other means of transportation since this one works. Morality makes those on horseback look like the good guys fighting against the bad guys who have the cars. And the cars look like the good guys because they're bringing something new and better than the carriage. And so on. Today, the ones in the cars are the bad guys, and the ones on the plane were once the heroes, and now they're the guilty ones. Everything rotates. Education is the only one that, instead of justifying, sees who is bad and who is good, and is capable of finding another solution and moving forward. The morality of good and evil is nothing more than a delay in human evolution. Me. But somehow there must be order. We are many. There must be a parameter to know how to do things right or wrong. I am. Man is good by nature and society corrupts him, said Rousseau. Man is bad by nature and society makes him worse, says Machiavelli. The conceptions of him are extreme and are enriched in the perceptions of society at the time of him. Neither man was good nor bad, nor does society make him worse. They talk as if they were both different things. Society is an extension of humanity, not a place that the humans inhabit. Everyone makes society, and everyone has good and bad attitudes in life. It is just that the bad ones are more noticeable. Me, because I am. Because evil is much more successful than good in life. And the reason is simple. Evil does not deny matter. It uses it. while the good tends to live in utopias and expectations. When you live on the dreams and imaginations, but never get your hands dirty, then the dream will never come true. The good ones are mostly dreamers, but the few are doers. They are critical and very bad, irresponsible. The bad guys know that if they don't manage matter, that they won't have resources, and they don't live on illusions. They use life to obtain benefits, and for this reason, in the third dimension, more success is seen in what you call evil than in what you call good. While the people of good wait for a savior, an alien, a fifth dimension, the masters, or whoever's going to save them, because they seek to return to a better idealistic world, the vast majority of human beings living in the shadow work apply, manifest incessantly. And the one who has been ignoring life has been the good. The one who has turned his back on earth has been the good. It is perhaps the fault of what you call the devil to have settled in the abandoned lot where no one was there to manifest his presence. I understand. Those of us who claim to be good guys in the movie, we don't capture, we just dream, and we need to act. And how to act without having to enter into a fight or the duality of good and evil. I am solving problems without looking for blame. Try it. It seems impossible, but it can be done. As we've said, good is looking for an enemy, and evil is looking to change the rules of the game. Thus, when you become a revolutionary of light or good, in reality you are evil, changing the morality and the normality of life. From the eyes of many, your work is of the devil. It is evil. You are a cult leader who cheats, lies, steals money, and knows who and what else you intend to do. Maybe your work is for the reptilians or the Vatican, and from the eyes of others, it will be the opposite. You will be the good one, and the others are the bad one. So who's right? Me. What does he do? I am. Exactly. The one who solves problems, the one who manifests tools. None will be right because they are only perspectives. Good and evil are not judged by birth or essence of anyone, nor by philosophy, ideology, culture, religion, sex, or race. Good reminds us of the importance of uniting to protect and improve ourselves, and evil reminds us that it should not always be done in the same way, and that we must constantly change our values. Therein lies the unity of this powerful duality. And how do you judge the good or bad that someone does? What is the social yardstick to measure this? There is no book that can tell you who did good and who did bad, but there are indicators. The question from the body would be, is it against the life of other living beings? The question of the soul would be, does it damage the emotional integrity of another person? And the question of the spirit would be, does it oppress the free expression of thoughts and words of others? The question to the Creator would be, does it threaten the achievements and individual manifestations of others? And if the answer to one of these is yes, it could be interpreted as the individual is out of harmony. So it is to know that it can be judged throughout the exhaustive process of education. I understand then morality is what constitutes me here and now to live in harmony, and that it flows and changes in my here and now changes. I must therefore be flexible and promote education in a way to balance good and evil. And remember that both are necessary to each other, because evil is the one who comes to remind good that it must change, and good comes to remind evil that it is necessary to find harmony and transformation. I free myself from the struggle between good and evil, and I launch myself into the constant, balanced transformation.
pasado